What's up, Homo sapiens? My name is Karanveer Singh, also known as Handsome Ajat. I'm a student, film editor, public speaker, and consultant, and yes, I'm talking to you right now using my eyes. When people hear extended reality, XR, they imagine cool headsets, crazy graphics, and people swinging their arms around like they're casting spells in Harry Potter. Don't lie, you've seen it. I've seen it too. And every time I see that, I'm like, nice magic. But where's the accessibility spell? I was born with cerebral palsy. I can't walk, I can't talk, and I don't have control over most of my body. But my brain works perfectly fine actually. It works a little too well sometimes. I communicate using AAC and eye gaze technology, which means technology isn't optional for me. It's my voice. It's my keyboard. It's my independence. So when I try an XR experience, I don't ask, is this realistic? I ask, okay, how do I click without throwing my arms in the air like a confused airplane? Most XR experiences today assume you can stand, hold controllers, press triggers, and move freely. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there staring at the menu like it's staring back at me. Imagine a VR game that says, press X to continue. Bro, where is the X button? On the controller? In the air? In another universe? That's when XR turns into an escape room, but not the fun kind. Now let's talk about how XR can work. I use eye gaze systems, AAC software, adaptive inputs, and alternative clicks. Imagine this. Instead of grabbing objects in VR, I select them just by looking at them. No controller. No hand tracking. No. Just pure eye power. Basically, Jedi mind tricks but real. Or imagine navigating a VR menu by staring at the option for half a second. Boom. Selected. Faster than some people clicking with a mouse. Here's another example. In social XR spaces, people talk using their voice. I don't. But imagine an XR world where my AAC voice is integrated directly into my avatar. I look at a sentence, select it, and my avatar speaks it in real time. That means I'm not just watching XR, I'm participating. I'm roasting friends. I'm collaborating. I'm fully present. And trust me, my jokes hit harder in virtual reality. Through my work with XR Lab, I've seen how fast XR improves when accessibility is considered early. I ask simple questions like, what if someone can't use controllers? Or what if someone can't stand for 10 minutes? Suddenly designers start adding gaze controls, seated modes, simplified use, and customizable interactions. And guess what? Everyone likes those features, not just disabled users. Here's a funny truth. People ask me, isn't XR hard for you? And I'm like, bro, I edit videos, manage projects, and send emails using my eyes. XR is easy, the design is what's hard. If TikTok can figure out my taste in memes better than some XR apps can figure out accessibility, then yeah, we've got some work to do. But let me be serious for a moment. Accessible XR can be life-changing. For some people, XR is just gaming or entertainment. For others, it can be education, therapy, social connection, or even a career. Imagine physical therapy in VR that works for people who can't stand. Imagine classrooms in XR where everyone can participate, regardless of how they move or speak. That's not futuristic, that's responsible design. So if you're a designer or developer, here's my challenge. Don't design XR for the perfect body. Design XR for real humans. Add multiple input methods. Let users choose how they interact. Give people control instead of assumptions. Accessibility isn't charity, it's innovation. And honestly, it makes your product way cooler. And honestly, and before I leave you, I want you to remember this. I don't use accessibility technology because it's cool. I use it because it gives me a voice. It gives me control. It gives me a seat at the table. XR has the power to either build walls or break them, and that choice isn't made by the headset, it's made by the designers. If I can create, learn, communicate, and express myself using my eyes, imagine what XR can do when accessibility is built in from day one. Not later. Not as an update. From the start. Not as an update. From the start. Don't ask, is this accessible? Ask, who am I leaving out? because the future of XR is not just immersive. It's inclusive. And one more thing, real change happens when everyone is included. That's how we make technology stronger, communities better, and the world more human. Thank you for giving me your time, and have a marvelous day. Do you have any questions or comments?
All right. We do have some questions for Jeff and Kay. So, what is the most powerful or surprising experience that you've had in XR?
Okay, you want to go first?
The most powerful XR experience I've had. The most powerful XR experience I've had wasn't about graphics, realism, or fancy effects. It was the moment I realized XR can expand someone's world instead of shrinking it. Seeing immersion create access is a different kind of wow, because it's not entertainment, it's empowerment. XR becomes meaningful when it helps people participate, communicate, and explore in ways they couldn't before.
Yeah. And I'll touch on that too. The wow moments are the ones for me. If ever I'm asked, I'll almost always do it, like go to a place where people can experience XR for the first time. I absolutely love those moments. And taking that to the next level, which is giving people the experience that typically wouldn't get that experience. So people with accessibility needs, with disabilities, that you'd go, oh, there's no experiences for me. Helping design those experiences and then giving them to them. A prime example, we did an experience a few years ago for the Special Olympics came to town. And we adapted some experiences for them. And the feedback we heard was, as an example, some of the people were paralyzed. And like, for the first time in 20 years, I was able to feel parts of my body again. When that happens, that just melts your heart and just makes you smile. There's another experience I touched on earlier. I said I would touch back on it, which is last year, one of the Bellevue College teams built an experience for someone with something called Lowndes disease. And it's where they end up getting, it's a bit like macular degeneration, so it's like they're looking through straws apart from their disjointed straws. So hard to imagine what that was like. And they asked to have an empathy experience built by the students so that they could recreate that so others could understand what it was like. In doing so, the person who helped design it with the Lowndes disease mentioned that they would like to try it to see how close it was. And they found that when they put the headset on, they could see better. And we believe the reason being is because the focal distance isn't like this. So far, it brings everything super close. So it was just an awe-inspiring moment when you find tech has these additional uses that you had no idea about.
All right. It's amazing. Yeah, I guess it goes back to what you were saying earlier about how we want to have multiple experiences for all types of learners and types of abilities. So. Well, if you had to redesign one popular XR game or app today to make it more inclusive, what would you change first and why?
The first thing I would change is input flexibility, because users should be able to choose controllers, keys, voice, switches, and seated interaction without feeling punished for their body. The best XR design gives people options and respects different ways of interacting. If your app assumes everyone can wave their arms around like a helicopter, then bro, you didn't design XR, you designed a fitness test.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one that you could spend hours on thinking about, like some of the best experiences that really could be improved to make them more accessible. We've done a lot of stuff with people in rehab situations. So there's things like you take for granted, let's say Fruit Ninja or Beat Saber that use for rehab, but the problem is not everybody has these abilities to do certain movements. And so while that can be beneficial, because it's unrestrictive almost, it means that if you can only do this much movement, you struggle to play those games. There is a company called Walk-in VR with a product called Walk-in VR, which is absolutely amazing. And if everybody gets a chance, check it out. It actually is Steam-based, so it requires a PC. But what it does, it gives everybody a level playing field by saying, if you can only do this movement, we can amplify it. And so it will give you whatever range you need. And you can use different parts of your head, different buttons and accessibility options as default. So you can customize it exactly as Kay was saying there for you. Now, the only downside is it requires a PC and Steam. So if I could adapt one experience, it would be that, because then every possible game that exists could potentially have these accessibility features from the offset.
All right. If immersive technology is going to make the world better, what needs to change?
If immersive tech is going to make the world better, we need to stop chasing wow and start asking who. We need to ask who benefits, who gets left out, and who is forced to adapt to the system instead of the system adapting to them. Accessibility isn't just about disability, it's about dignity, and dignity should never be optional. And one more thing, real change happens when everyone is included, because that's how we make technology stronger, communities better, and the world more human.
Yeah. I completely agree, Kay. I think the key is we have some systemic issues, not just in XR, right, but in most things in life. And the reason being, we always go for the 80-20 rule, and that 20% of people get cut out every single time. And some of those people, it's the same people that are in that 20%. However, taking a different approach to that, we've developed some solutions that we try and make more accessible. But our issue is it's us. What we need to do is build some system-wide, universal plugins, prefabs, add-ons, UI, UX guidelines, and ideally some things that every company who's a developer like us can just go grab, implement into their system. Because until we get that, every company's reinventing the wheel every time they come up with an experience. And we're never going to get to this ability to say, yeah, here's one that works for everyone. Of course, ultimately, we need the big companies, such as the Metas of the world, to incorporate that into the experience from the beginning. And Meta, as not picking on them, but they actually did have some experiences early on where you instantly had the ability to use your head to look around and control the whole UI. They hit some issues because it wasn't the 80-20, but it was the 90-10, and then the 10% was saying, it doesn't quite work for me. And then I think they end up taking it all out, unfortunately. So now we're back to the 80, which is a tragedy for me. I wish they would have just kept expanding it. And to Kay's point, allow everybody that ability to customize it. And I think we will get there. It just feels like it's not coming fast enough, right? But I think we all need to band together, and we need to make it a lot more open source and make it available for free for everyone.
That's great.
We have a question online. It is, I joined the conference and am watching your personal manifesto. Your speech has touched my soul. Your speech will remain in my heart, and I will always carry it with me as I design VR experiences. You have made a change in me. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. My question would be, beside the accessibility, what about the VR content itself? Which content would you find inspiring, important?
So I'll try and answer that while Kay perhaps tries to answer himself. We work a lot with accessibility, not enough. Unfortunately, there's not much money in accessibility, which is part of the problem. Not that we're just driven by money, but you've got to find that balance, obviously. It's fascinating. So I sit on a board with UW and Harborview, for example, trying to use different tech to improve people's lives. And at one of the events, I actually asked them, different people with different disabilities, if you could have an experience, what would you like us to build? And it was really, really fascinating. Different people had very vast arrays of answers. One guy said, I would love to drive, never been able to drive a car. I would love to know what that feels like. We actually did end up building a drivable vehicle that you can use with your head and your eyes to actually just feel like you're in control, which was really, really amazing. But again, we're just touching the tip of this iceberg. There's also some fascinating things that you don't think about if you're fully abled. One of the guys said, I would love to know what it's like to dig a hole, and asked for a game to be built that was digging holes. You know, and so I think the key to it is asking those questions and seeing if we can do something collaboratively. And in fact, with AI, maybe we will be able to do those a lot easier and a lot faster.